Hey everybody, this is a 6 month review of the Yamaha Silent Guitar. This is the Nylon version. It's the regular nut. It's not like a wide nut or whatever. And I've been playing on this for for 6 months. And I've done probably 55-ish gigs on it. And I figured it would be worthwhile to let y'all know what I think of it. Now, I love it. I love the way it sounds. I love the way it feels. There isn't much about it that I don't like. But there are some things that I think that you probably should know about if you were thinking about purchasing one. None of this is deal breaker for me, but it could be for you. So let's begin. First, probably this is maybe the most important technical thing about it for me is that sometimes when I'm playing like the top string, the high E string, sometimes it's not as loud as the rest of them. And what I've found is the reason for that is that the piezo plate that's underneath the bridge here, it's like a little metal strip. This doesn't make the right kind of contact with it for it to really pick up the sound. And so you get like this kind of, I don't know how to describe it really, except that it's like softer and crackly almost. It's like almost like fuzzy. And the way I've fixed that, like I'll be playing, everything's great, and then all of a sudden I start playing like up here and it's just not ringing. I'm like, what on earth is going on? And what I found is that if I press the bridge down, if I just kind of give it a press, and maybe I press that string in, then it makes the better contact, and then everything's good again. And I'm not really sure why this happens. It might be because I put it in my case and I take it somewhere, and this part of the bridge up here, the low E part, gets pressed, and then it becomes a little less. It might be something else. But the other thing that I've discovered is that if I want to avoid that right from the get-go, when I string it, if I change the strings, keep the strings on it that you already have and you're replacing. Start with your low E, get rid of that one, put your new low E on. Then add your high E. Do that one next. And that keeps the saddle flush. And then I go B, A, G, D. And I put those strings on in that order. And that tends to keep the saddle flush, and I don't run into the what in the world's going on with my high E string. And that's like technical issue number one for me. I actually made a phone call to Sweetwater to ask him about it, and that was like the response that I think what made the most sense was like deal with the plate, and it's just probably not getting the pressure it needs. Second, this little screw right here that holds your strap on, this will come loose. At least it does with mine. It may be because it's a leather strap and it might grip, and as I move or turn or whatever, it just kind of turns. And what does this do? This piece, and there's another one down here. There's a little screw here. This holds this, and so then you get like a battle axe for a guitar, and which is great, but not really great for classical playing. And so you put that on, you tighten the back. I tighten that first. Oh, that makes a difference, but it's just easier for me. And then I just kind of press it against my shoulder, and I tighten here. And then as soon as I put my strap on, I double check. And I make sure that it's all good, because when you're playing, the last thing you want is to have like this thing like fly off on you. And so every couple of songs, I'll just check to make sure that it's all okay. It just kind of becomes habitual. Just like, okay, tighten that, like whatever. It doesn't really affect the playing. It's just annoying a little bit. I'm not going to do anything to it. Like I'm not going to add like sticky substance or anything like that. Because for me, it's not that big a deal. If I'm mostly playing and I'm mostly staying, not still, but I'm playing classical music, I'm not moving that much, it's not gonna come out. But sometimes it gets loose, and it's just worth knowing about. So piezo thing, that. Outside of that, there isn't much. I pretty much only use reverb too as a sound. Um, the dry sound, it's pretty good. It's also very dead. Like there's no like anything. One of the things I wish that was possible is here's the reverb. Like I like that. I think it's nice. It's too much. I actually wish I could dial it down. I wish I could have a little less reverb. I don't, but there isn't any. That's what you get. And that to me that's a little like meh, 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 meh. But it's okay for like 90% of the music I play. It's when you're doing things that are super fast, it just turns into mud. And then it's like, okay, well, I'll use the reverb on my bows um, for those tunes and I'll just and then turn the reverb up there. And I get a better approximation. The other thing that I think is a little bit annoying is that the bass sometimes can be like overwhelming. And so I roll off the bass a little bit. I go from instead of like 5, I might have it down at like 3. And then it doesn't seem like it's just overpowering everything else I'm playing, especially if I'm in like a drop D tuning or something like that. Um, and that could be just my perception of it. It could just be my ears because I'm used to my acoustic nylon guitar, and the bass doesn't last for hours like it does on this. That leads me to the one other thing. If I have to say like one thing that I wish was different, is that this piece right here is too thin, and then you got this horn to be able to use an A-frame. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'll just take this guitar off. And what I mean by an A-frame is like a little support, like this thing that just magnets onto my guitar, and then I can sit with it like this. And the one thing the one thing that I wish I could do was use this, but I can't, and I'll show you why. This piece is too wide to go on that. See how it hangs over? So you go to put the little magnet things on here, and it just doesn't work. And so I would love to have been able to affix this somehow and be able to play non-strap just with my regular A-frame. But that is not possible. And so you have to wear a strap. Now, I didn't know that when I bought it. I figured I'd give it a try. I bought, another set of magnets. I didn't buy a whole other A-frame, just to see if it would work, and it didn't. And so that, that's kind of sad. But the benefits of this outweigh any of those like things that I've talked about. First, it doesn't feedback, like period. I run this through distortion pedals, all kinds of things. If you haven't seen that video, I recommend it. You should totally watch it. And I run you through all of what it does. You can do all kinds of pedals, all kinds of things. It doesn't feedback. I can play loud. I can stand in front of the amp. I can stand and play, which is awesome for people when they're sitting and watching. I'm not sitting, I'm up and they can see me. I love it because there's like nothing to carry. I carry my bows. I have this in a little case that fits on my back, and I put the microphone and the microphone cable if I'm going to sing or whatever in the case. I carry the mic, I carry the amp, I carry this. It's one trip. If I'm playing in the rock band, I have a battery powered Boss multi-effects pedal that lasts like 4 hours. The amp lasts 11. This lasts like 20 something hours on batteries. I always have spares, rechargeables or whatever. And you don't need cables. Like I'm actually considering getting like a wireless unit for it. So I'm just not carrying cables at all. And I love it. You can be set up anywhere and play, and it's great. And so for me, that far outweighs any of these like, oh, it's a little nudgy sometimes with the piezos. Oh, this thing gets a little loose here and there. The convenience of being able to play loud classical music in a room, where people might be, they might be eating, dinner at a restaurant, or they're, it's a wedding situation. You're outside, you're at the lake, or, you're on top of a mountain or something. you can be heard, and that's awesome. And so with no feedback, there's no chance of it. It's just such an amazing thing that I wish I bought one of these like 10 years ago. It would totally have changed and revolutionized what I do. So 6 months in, I've played almost 60 gigs on it. It is totally reliable. It's a wonderful instrument. There are a couple of nudgy things, and but I would totally buy another one. Like if something were to happen to this and it just whatever, I would totally have another one because they're awesome. So there's my review. Good luck. If this helps you, let me know. Put it in the comments. Have a good one, guys.